Ready to talk about Fierce Delay? Yeah. Glory looks troubled, more so than you've ever seen her before. Whatever memories she's dredging up must be exceedingly painful. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been looking forward to this. But yeah, it's time. Shadow. Look, I'm about to tell you some things about myself that might change your opinion of me. It's entirely possible that you're going to hate me based on what's coming up next. I've accepted that, and if that's what happens, I sincerely believe that I deserve it. She looks you in the eye, her expression grim. So tell me, are you sure that you want to keep pushing forward with this? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Shadowrun Dragonfall. We were returning back to the crew as Bosser after a successful job, but something happened to our train. It's now out of power, and we're stuck at this abandoned little station. Station's main power is off, train's not going anywhere until it's back on. We have our full crew with us, so I'm expecting combat, but I'm not really sure what else to expect. It's probably a trap of some kind, but maybe not. Looks like some squatters are living in the station. We found a fuse, so that's something. Tunnels collapse, not getting out this way. This 100% feels like a trap. Fuse box right there. This is a neat little combat arena. I kind of wanted to maybe check out the rest, but we've got the fuse, so let's get them on. Did I pick up a second fuse? I think I did. Try swapping the old fuse that is in bathroom to track. Well, we've got extra fuses, so just add an extra fuse to bathroom. No. Oh, we've only got one extra fuse. Add it to track. Because this is bathroom and it seems to be working. So if we leave that like that, theoretically we should be able to leave? No. Ah, but that probably activates the bridge controls, so maybe I couldn't get over here yet anyway. Looks like the console could extend the nearby bridge to cross the tracks, but with the power out, the entire thing is non-functional. Okay. So it looks like the extra fuse did not help. Oh, hey, come on. Over here. Okay, so try swapping the old fuse that is in bathroom to track. Lights went out. Lights in the bathroom go out. The status light next to track lights up green. Did it need two fuses then? Yes, it seems like it needed two fuses. Okay. That's fine. I mean, we don't need two in the bathroom. So there, now can I extend the bridge? I can. Mechanical bridge smoothly slides out and spans the gap over. Okay. So now I've got a door I can go in and nothing else. It's so dark in this maintenance area you can barely see your hand in front of your face. Oh, and it saved the game. That's wonderful. Can I deck into this? Strength of 6. Nope. Get your muscle to force the door. Do I have a muscle? Oh, Iger. Yeah, that makes sense. Iger shoulder checks the door, and the crack of splintering plastic fills your ears. The door slides open. Okay. Ooh, I'll take a grenade. Sure. Okay. Oh, we are absolutely going to be surrounded the second we hit this. 100%. That's them! Open fire! Yep. Yep, knew it. Target acquired. Yeah, alright, so this was either a hit or an well, a hit is an assassination, but that's fine. You guys 100% picked the wrong people to mess with. Iger, why don't you, or not Iger, Glory, why don't you go harass this one? Nice. Yeah, hit him again. Why don't you get into cover and get a Dragon Slayer going. Nice. Not bad. Ooh, that wasn't as good. Need to get her rifle up more. She's alright with more assault rifles, but her aim with the sniper isn't as good as I'd like it to be right now. Oh, I meant to do this actually, but that worked out pretty well. Do you guys have any more grenades you'd like to throw in? It was a trick question. The answer should be no. Oh, hey, that worked out. Thanks. And yeah, we have better accuracy with this one right now, so we'll go with that. You want to go harass again? Make it so. Nice! Good hit. Good hit. Clean. Oh, way to hit Glory. Got him. Alright, pick up whatever this is. An encrypted PDA. Ooh. Oh, yeah, no, don't go open the door, but everyone get close and get ready. Anyone need a heal? Not especially. Go ahead and give it to us, I guess. Okay, get ready. Go ahead and open the door, Glory. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Can you get her out of there? No, you cannot. Alright, you know what? That's fine. Hello. Oh, I totally thought we were on the next round of turns. That's why I had Glory open the door. Regret. That's fine. Spread out the damage. That was nowhere near as bad as it could have been. Alright. Rip you. Let's make sure Iger and her shotgun can do some heavy lifting here. We'll balance you, and then just lift you. Wow, managed to get your own guy with that. Good job. That was not as good of a showing by me. Keep your bleeding going. And then just keep tearing into you. Nice, you're almost dead. Now, I'm sure we've already made some heavy enemies, so I'm not surprised we're getting a hit on us like this, but I am curious as to who would do such a thing. Honestly, it could be the main antagonist, the Dragon Group. I could see them coming after us like this. They've mentioned they have similar operations going. No more combat rounds at all, so that might be all of the enemies, but I'll wait to see until we get out here. Yeah, no, we seem to be good. I'm assuming I have to raise the bridge again, so maybe everybody get off it. Tanks. Clearing the path for the train. Alright, we out. I wonder if we'll get extra karma for that. The rest of the trip home is uneventful, but what thing... God, I can't read. But one thing is clear. Someone is hunting you. This ambush was no chance gang warfare, but an organized attempt on your life. If Green Winters was right, then whoever killed him is now after you. The PDA that you retrieved from your attackers may hold some answers. It's time to return to your safe house and consult Paul Amsel. I mean, we do have to return to Paul anyways, but it seems like especially good. I heard the ting of extra karma. How much is it going to give me? 12? Give me 12. It's probably going to be like 4, if I'm lucky. Ooh, a nice medium 8. I'll take that. Alright, let's get that spent nice and lickety-split. Could up ranged combat, but for now, I think let's just max for trolls. Could up my charisma. It's not enough for another etiquette, but it's almost there. You know what? Sure. I would like another etiquette. And then we'll put that one... I could save it. And it looks like I'm saving it. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure we'll get more soon. And then... we've completed all of our side objectives. Cool. How much money we got rocking us? Oh, yeah, okay, it's time for his last one. The work program has been a rousing success. At this point, we only have one more goal in mind to round out the year. I have been in negotiations with Herr Burakazi to lease another building in the Cruisbassa. The construction is much more modern and sturdy than our old shelter. Our people would be better protected there. In addition, the extra floor space would open up a host of new options for our organization. One other thing, Shadow. If we reach this goal, I would like to name the building after you. You are, after all, our primary benefactor. With 500 new yen, we could make the purchase. Whatever you could spare would be most appreciated. I have enough? I don't know what to say, Shadow. With this donation, we have reached our final goal. I will speak with Burakazi immediately and provide him his down payment. And the Shadow Civic Center will stand as a monument to your generosity and care. I feel like there could be a better name for it, but I do appreciate the gesture. Thank you, once again. You have been a godsend to the poor of the Cruisbassa, and I will see to it that they know it. If you say so. I am happy that you're pleased. You've more than earned it. Thank you, friend, but no. We have grown as much as I am comfortable with for 1 year, and you have done quite enough already. Yeah, okay. Didn't think he'd take it, but gotta try. So I guess we've maxed out donating to him already. That's funny. Lane looks to have mostly recovered from whatever happened the other day. A few butterfly stitches keep closed the lacerations on his face, and his damaged prosthetics looks to be functioning normally once again. And what brings you around today? I wanted to talk about what happened the other day. The old soldier glowers, but given his physical handicaps and his recent injuries, he hardly makes for an intimidating figure, troll size notwithstanding. Hang my hoop!
I'm not a child, woman. I'm not helpless. And even if I was, leave me to whatever fate I've earned.
Will they be back?
Not if they know what's good for them. Last time, they caught me alone, taking a shortcut through an alley. I won't make that mistake again. I'm sticking close to home, and close to Samuel and his people. They won't shy away from a fight.
What do they want?
He wanted to dissuade me from lending my voice or experience to any pro-metahuman parties. I tried to talk him down, tried to explain my fighting days are done, but he wouldn't believe me. Bastard made a liar of me when I beat him with my crutch.
Who was it?
Someone who heard an unfounded rumor. A rumor about me joining up with an ORC, presumed favorite polyclub among us trogs. Maybe he was Humanus, or maybe just another Flux fanatic who thought the balance of power would be upset by me joining up with Orc. I don't know, and I don't care. I just want to be left alone.
Leave it at that for now. Part in the Euro Wars. Lane sighs, his weight settling on creaking legs.
Problem with a tight-knit community like the Crew's Bosser is that you can't escape who you are. Fine. You want to hear it, I'll tell it.
The old troll leans heavy on his crutch and takes a steadying breath.
I was a colonel in the Finnish army. During the First Euro War, the Jaeger Brigade was mine. For decades, we'd used ATVs, Nasus and bandwagons mostly. Slow, lumbering things, but built for the snows of the Lapland. I was the one who changed all that, moving us over to T-birds. I made us fast and nimble. The Russians were still slow, and though they had us outnumbered and outgunned, we could run circles around them. I'm not sure when and I'm not sure who, but the comparison was made to Rommel. Arctic Fox followed soon thereafter. But I don't celebrate the title. Far too many young soldiers died under the command of the Arctic Fox. This is why some ask me to fight, and this is why I refuse.
Cool. I feel you, dude. Let's talk to Simi. Simi Kim leans against a wall, her head downcast and her face lost in shadow. Sensing your presence, she looks up, revealing a black eye poorly covered by concealer. And still, she smiles at you. Hello, Shadow. How are you? We gave you the shiner. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you want something? Because I've got things to do, you know. Zach says he has a new sim for me. One with aliens and a little girl I need to save. She's waiting for me, and I can't let her down. Is there something going on around here? There's always something going on. It's the flux, right? It gives, it takes. Sometimes it takes more than it gives. Some things it takes are gone forever. Friends that disappear. Family that dies. People like Monica. I don't much like the flux. In The Sims, you can have the same happy day over and over. You can skip past the parts you don't like, or replay the good moments as many times as you want. And I can't think of any parts of real life I'd want to play over. And plenty of parts I wish I could skip. How'd you end up in the Crew's Bosser? I don't know. I was living on the street since I was a kid. Had no family, no home. I got mixed up with some bad people, and I had a bad day. Ended up owing them money. Too much money. I got beat up pretty bad. Needed a doctor, but couldn't pay for one. And then I found Doc Escabel, or he found me. I can't really remember. He said he could help me. He gave me the money up front, but he said he had to come back for medicine every month until it was time to pay him back. And I did. I took the medicine just like he said. I really don't want to talk about this anymore, okay? Sounds like he used you as a guinea pig. I don't much like Doc Escabel, and I don't like that he operates in our Crew's Bosser, but I suppose for the moment it's one of those necessary evils kind of thing. Still, if we can get him replaced with a better doctor at some point, that would be Hep. Something new with Lucky Strike. Shadow, fancy seeing you again. Yeah, well, I was hoping that you'd want to chat. Oh? She takes a drag on her cigarette. Well, color me intrigued. What do you want to talk about? Do you know anything about an organization called the Lodge? Dear's group, you mean? She tips back her glass and swallows. Sure, I've done a few jobs for them. They pay well. The whole ominous secret organization thing they try to keep going is a little weird, but whatever. Money is money, and they've got it. What can you tell me about Dior? Best that I can tell, he's just a middle-rung toady, like any other corporate suit that you deal with before a run. Only difference is that his organization isn't a corp. I think he's a little fresh-faced for what the Lodge has him doing. In the beginning, there was some credibility issues. I had a hard time taking the guy seriously. But then he started waving wads of new yen around, and that all cleared up in a flash. Afraid that I can't help you dig any deeper. He's an occasional client. She takes a sip of scotch and chases it with a long drag on her cigarette. Even if I knew more about Dior, I wouldn't tell you. Shadowrunners who kiss and tell have a funny way of dying young. Yeah, that's fair. Been finding much work recently. Yeah, but the cruise bosser isn't the best place to do it. There aren't a ton of jobs out here if you don't have a network. You have a network. Me. She smirks. Not quite. You're a client, not a friend. No offense, mind you. But my crew is back in MIT, and we're doing just fine on the job front. She gestures with her cigarette, the tip glowing red in the gloom. Red that is groom, I'm like, wait, what? In the gloom. I mostly visit your lovely little kiosks between runs to restock and relax. It's a good place for that, nice and slow-paced. It's... She pauses for a moment to search for a word. Quaint. I don't know about hiring her for real. I mean, I haven't actually, used her on a run yet. Don't suppose you'd be interested in taking a permanent position on my team. Don't suppose I would. Like I said, I've got a team of my own. Good people who have earned my loyalty 100 times over. I can do a little moonlighting here and there, but they wouldn't take it kindly if I up and bailed on them. She takes another sip of scotch. Better that it stay like this. If you need me for a run, I'm available. You just need to pay me first. Keeps things clean and simple. It's simple and clean, as any Kingdom Hearts fan would tell you. Is bartender here any good? No. It's called Der Weinkeller for a reason. The guy behind the bar is more like a Bush League sommelier than he is a proper bartender. Knows a bit about wine, but when it comes to mixing drinks, he's useless. If you want a drink, I'd recommend sticking to something simple. Try ordering something with more than 2 ingredients, and you're asking for trouble. So you're a wine drinker, then? Me? No, never developed a taste for it. She tilts her glass, swirling the amber liquid inside. I'm not a big fan of sweet things. Never have been, not even when I was a kid. And I've always preferred smoke. Certified stoner for life. Feel you. If you don't like wine, why hang out in a wine bar? Because it's usually empty in here, and I don't like to be bothered. And as hopeless as the bartender is, it's tough to mess up scotch if you order it neat. Now, do you have another question, or... Yeah, alright. Cool. I'll check in with you again later. I'm sure you'll have more lines. Looks like people can level up. That's cool. We'll deal with that in a few minutes. Let's go stop off by the clinic. I haven't actually talked to the doc in a while. I still have to get that thing installed, but I do not have the money for it at the moment. Still, the permanent boost to intelligence would be nice. It's a free stat point. How you doing, Doc? I hope that our recent misunderstanding won't have an impact on our ongoing business relationship. Misunderstanding? Shadow? I'm sure that I don't know what you're talking about. Just launch into it all. About our friends in the sewers. You're not hearing me. I don't know what you're talking about. I know nobody in the sewers, and you know nothing of my extracurricular activities. As long as you're on board with that, our business together can continue unabated. Deal? Deal. I don't know. Let's take a bit of his money if we can. Go ahead and sell the extra weapons. What am I rocking for my thing? The Semopal. Oh, that's a shotgun. I don't use shotguns. Sell that, because might as well. Keep our grenades and medkits. You can take the hyper and the kamikaze and the nitro. Yeah, that's fine. And how much to get my thing installed? Ooh, a tailored pheromone. That sounds pretty dope. No, where is it here? Oh yeah, Cephalon next. 5,000. Oh, it's a +2 to intelligence. Okay, I gotta save up for that. That is absolutely worth. Because what is our intelligence right now? We're at 6. So that would get us to 8, which is huge. I don't really care about Zach. Fine, we'll check in. We're doing the rounds. We might as well. Anything change here? Yeah, nothing new. Which is good. As I said, I do not care for him much. What's up, Gunari? Anything new from you, my friend? No. New outfit, though? I think I can afford that. What am I rocking for outfit? Can I even look? Oh, I can't even look at it. I kind of want that. I almost have enough. Just armor 6 would be nice. Doesn't give us any other bonuses or anything. Well, actually, it does. I was looking over here. I don't know why. I need to look here. Dodge and move speed, quickness and dodge, HP, strength and HP. I'll take the HP, honestly. Just armor 6, 10 HP. That sounds lovely. So then I guess I will sell a grenade or two. Which should put me. Yep. By our light security armor. Take off our Matrix Courier, which is currently granting us 1 intelligence. That's interesting. Okay, now let's take a look at ourselves. Oh, no, no, no. Hey now, hey now. Yeah, so now we're at intelligence 5. But if I were to go into spend karma, what does it show it as? Okay, so it's still showing it as 5. But we have that naturally, I think, don't we? Yeah, that's our natural, okay. But I think because something was unnaturally raising our stat above, that's why I couldn't just, like, get this one, you know? Okay. Good to know. Let's take a look at our new armor. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Alright. I know it wants us to go back into the safe house, and we will in a minute. But let's just stop by Malit. If you don't have anything new, then I don't think anything new over here. Yeah, no, okay, nothing new over here. They're probably waiting for actual story progress, which I have to talk to Paul for. Anything from the teammates? Found this drone at that hotel vault. Does it belong to you? Blitz's eyes widen when he sees the drones that you're carrying. He looks anxious. Oh, hey, Chief. How's it going? I forgot what voice I gave Blitz already, because I haven't talked to him much. Yeah, Chief, that's mine. I didn't want to say anything at the time, since it was my idea to have you loot the vault in the first place. Would have saved me some running around if you would come clean. I forgot about it. Honestly, Chief, I'm just glad to see her up and running again. How'd you pull that off, by the way? Why would I lie about it? Malit fixed your drone. She says that it won't listen to anyone but you, though. Score. So, can I have it back? Yeah, alright. I don't use drones, so it's yours. Blitz stubs out a cigarette at your approach. I don't like that voice I gave him just now. I don't know. I'm bad at thinking of the one on the fly, though. Whatever. Shadow, I was hoping that I'd see ya. Do you have another run lined up for us yet? I'm strapped for cash. What the hell are you strapped for cash? With the amount of work we've been doing, you should be rolling into yen. What can I say, Chief? He tries on a thoroughly unconvincing smile, but he immediately seems to think better of it. The anxious look returns to his face. I have expensive tastes. I mean, he's a Decker, so of course he's got programs and tech to buy. I was hoping for a straight answer. You've got a talent for deflection, Blitz. And you're annoyingly persistent. If you must know, I'm in debt. That's where all the money's going. In debt to who? He hesitates before responding. When he does, his voice carries an edge of annoyance. No offense, but this is getting a little too personal, Chief. My debts are none of your business. If some bookie senses thugs here looking for you, it's going to become my business. So talk now. Blitz shakes his head in exasperation. All right, fine. First off, you don't need to worry about anyone coming after me. My debts are to a bunch of old contacts. If I don't pay them, I'm gonna lose them, and in this line of work, it isn't smart to burn bridges. Second, before you ask, those debts are for services rendered. I was in a tight spot, I needed some help, and I threw around a lot of IOUs to get it. Third, and finally, the trouble I was in involved a girl. I'll tell you about it if you ask me to, but you're verging deep into personal feelings territory. So if you don't want to hear me sob over my ex-girlfriend, you'll drop the subject now. So it's up to you, Chief. You really want to go down this road, or shall we keep this relationship professional? This is a professional relationship. Clearly preoccupied with this, in your line of work, preoccupied and get you killed. So spit it out and we'll deal with it. Blitz meets your gaze for a moment and then looks away and sighs. All right, where to begin? I met it. No, is that Emily or Emil? Probably Emily. I met Emily in Dragonfall. She was the first person who was ever more important to me than myself. I was crazy about her, Chief. To this day, she's the only person I've ever met who could outdeck me. I can. And the real kicker is that she wasn't even a decker by trade. There was nothing she wasn't good at. I like to dabble in rigging, but Emily, that girl could pick up anything that she set her mind to. Sounds like a hell of a girl. She was. She made things right. No matter how stupid I was, no matter what I got myself into, she made it right. I don't think much of many people, Chief. Emotional attachments aren't really my thing. Love seems like a diluted word these days, so I won't waste it on Emily. Let's just say that she was important to me. And then I lost her. I don't know what was happening. It came out of nowhere. I didn't know what was happening. One day she was just gone, along with most of my decking gear. The only explanation was a handwritten note on old-fashioned paper. Leave me alone. We'd been together for years, and that was all she left me. That and this beat-up old cyber deck. Naturally, I freaked. We'd had our share of arguments, but we never had a huge blowout or anything. I couldn't think of anything that drive her to do a thing like that. Mostly, I felt hurt. So I searched for her, in the real world and in the Matrix. And when that turned up nothing, I started tapping my contacts. And that was when I started racking up debt. So, did you find her? No. She's gone, Shadow, without a trace. I looked high, I looked low, I poked into everything I could think of, and my contacts did the same. He shakes his head. She's gone, Chief. At this point, I've accepted that. But I still have to repay those debts. I'm surprised you've given up so easily. There must be some place you haven't looked. He blinks. I don't know, Shadow. I really did look everywhere. And at great personal cost. Yeah, but I'm a protagonist, and I'll help you look. She means that much to you. You owe it to yourself to try. Yeah. Yeah, you might be right. Shakes his head. Fuck! I thought I was done with this. But you're right. Without some kind of closure, I'm never going to be at peace with this. I feel like I gave him like a vaguely Scottish or like a British voice or something, you know, but that's fine. He's this for right now. Thanks for the talk, Chief. I'll let you know how it goes. You do that, Blitz. Good luck. I will help you when you inevitably find her and need a run put together. Hey, Dante. Give you your pet. Anything new, Dietrich? You really came through for me, boss. You ever need anything from me, anything at all, then you call on me. I'll come running. Wasn't quite his voice, but that's fine. It's close enough. How's Alexander holding up? He's a good kid, that nephew of mine. Give him some time and he'll shake Stull's programming. It might take a while, but he'll adjust to life here in the cruise, bosser. In the meantime, I found a good home for him. Samuel has agreed to take him in. Was that wise? Samuel's employees have no love for humanists. Most of them don't even like humans. Best thing for the kid will be to learn through immersion. If he stays with Samuel's group, he'll have no choice but to interact with metahumans. Soon enough, he'll learn that they're no different than anyone else. First few days will be rough, no questions, but he'll make it through, and come out the other side a better man for it. Seems like a tough kid. I don't doubt that you're right. Dietrich claps you on the shoulder. You're a good woman, boss. On to other things. Remember what I was telling you, back before we climbed into the van? Yeah, you were saying that the Dragon Slayer was happy, and that you'd been given a reward. That's right. Thanks to our, let's not mince words, heroic actions back in that swine pit, the Dragon Slayer has seen fit to grant me his favor. His grin widens. And now I know what that means, and what I can do with it. Well, don't keep me in suspense. He gestures at the ground near his feet. This! As you watch, the spot that Dietrich is pointing at begins to glow. Lines of force spread out in a scintillating web, and a feeling of raw power suffuses your body. I've just torn open a channel between myself and the Dragon Slayer. That power that you feel is his power, pouring through the ether into that spot. If you're familiar with ley lines, it's the same basic concept. I consecrate a patch of ground, and as long as I stand in that spot, all of my magic gets stronger. Crosses his arms over his chest. Not bad, huh? What about another major shaman? Could someone else benefit from one of those channels too? He shrugs. Don't see why not. Like I said, it's basically a ley line. As long as you're on the Dragon Slayer's good side, I don't see why you couldn't use it. My idol, he isn't stingy with his gifts. Anyway, boss, I want to keep fiddling with this, learning to properly control it. And I'm sure that you've got things to do as well. You take care of whatever else it needs doing, and by our next run, I'll be ready to use this. Already was, we've already used it. Cool. Anything actually new with you then? Yes, cool. I'm curious, Dietrich, why did you switch from fronting a band to... Oh, there might actually be something new with Blitz too then. Running band. Honestly, working the stage was getting boring, boss. Spitting and screaming at the world was fine and good when I was a kid, but it just didn't do it for me anymore. The Dragon Slayer wanted me to fight a real enemy, so I left the band behind, and I turned to the shadows. He shrugs. I don't know. Guess I figured that'd be the best way to find one. Considering current events, I'd say that you're not wrong about that. Yeah, I guess not. Feels kinda daunting, truth be told, but it's all exciting all the same. I've been looking for a worthy adversary for a while now. It's kinda satisfying having a white whale to chase. How long have you been looking for a real enemy? Not too long, ever since I took down the last one. The last one? Of course. I might be able to sit around feeling pleased with myself if I follow the creator or the Moon Maiden, but the Dragon Slayer ain't that kind of idol. If I'm not drinking, I'm fighting. And if I'm not doing either of those things, I'm looking for a bigger, better fight to get in next time. Dietrich produces a flask from his jacket pocket and raises it in salute. It is... It's a remarkably simple code to live by. Who is this last one? Gang boss. A great big orcish bastard called the Wild Schwein. led the local chapter of the Horde. I've had my sights set on him and his for a while. They'd hurt a lot of people, and I figured they'd pose a challenge. I wasn't wrong about that, but I took him out in the end. Dietrich, when does this pattern end? Well, boss, the way I figure it, it'll end when I pick a fight that I can't win. He smiles sadly. Might be this one, might be the next. It'll be hard to top a great dragon. But that's the way the Dragon Slayer wants it. And who am I to refuse him? Abruptly, he turns away. That's enough talk for today, boss. Besides, you've got other things to do, I'm sure. Actually, no, I've got many more dialogue trees to go down with you. I was thinking about what you told me earlier. You said your idol was going to make you pick a fight that you couldn't win. He shrugs. It's bound to happen eventually. Probably sooner rather than later. Isn't there something you can do to stop that from happening? Well, I suppose that I could refuse. But that probably wouldn't be a good idea. Especially not now. Remember, boss, the Dragon Slayer is where my magic comes from. If I turn away from him, you'd better believe that he'll turn away from me. Besides which, I don't even know if I can refuse him anymore. He's been with me for so long, I don't know why he stops and I begin. He grins at you. Don't you worry about me, boss. I've known that this was coming for my entire life. And when it happens, I'll go down in a blaze of glory, the likes of which you can't even imagine. That's a promise. What if you were to pick a fight with a different kind of dragon? Say, maybe a gang or a corporation? He pauses for a moment. That's an interesting idea. If it were big enough and heinous enough, he might be satisfied. I've never tried to bargain or negotiate with the Dragon Slayer before. I'm not sure how I feel about it. And I don't know how he'd take it either. A Dragon Slayer doesn't like to be questioned, and his temper's even shorter than mine. But I'll tell you what, boss. I'll think about it. Can't really believe he'd want you to commit self-eviction. Of course not! The Dragon Slayer doesn't want me to die. But he does want me to kill dragons! That ain't supposed to be safe or easy. It isn't my idol's fault that I'm getting too old to keep up with his wishes. Any updates on Alexander? Nothing new, boss. He's adjusting. It's gonna take some time. Lodge. Lodge. He freezes up. Oh, boss. Do you mean the Black Lodge? Oh shit, we're getting all Twin Peaks up in here. I don't know, maybe Lodge was all that I heard. Let me describe him to you, and you can tell me if what I'm saying fits. Shadowy, powerful, secretive as hell, with deep pockets and a penchant for hiding the truth. They conduct all of the business through dupes and go-betweens. Gives you a sideways glance. That sound about right. I don't, by the way, I know Dietrich wasn't, like, Scottish before, like full-on Willie Scott, but, at some point, he just kind of I know he's Russian. Like, he's meant to be, or German or Russian, actually, I'm not sure. Either way, he's full Scottish now, and I don't think I can pull that train back into the station. Gives you a sideways glance. That sound about right. That's them in a nutshell, yeah. Well, if it's them, and whoever you're talking about I ain't saying it is, then I'd advise you to stay away from them. Stay far, far away. Whatever you do, don't take their money. If you do, they'll own you. Dietrich, I have something to tell you. If you're about to say what I think you are, don't. I don't want to know. Well, tell me what you've heard about this Black Lodge, then. I need to know. Well, the story is that the Black Lodge is the mother of all conspiracies. Supposedly, they've been around for hundreds of years, and they've been practicing magic since well before the Awakening. Impossible, I know, but I believe it. You ever heard of the Masons, the Knights Templar, the Bavarian Illuminati? They were all puppets of the Black Lodge. None of them knew who they were working for, but the Lodge was there, pulling the strings. They always have been, and they still are today. That's the story. Didn't know that you're a conspiracy theorist, Dietrich. I ain't, but I've been around long enough to know that I should trust my gut, and it's telling me that the Black Lodge is real. Your mileage may vary, of course. Believe whatever you want. You already know what I think. Any thoughts on the last run that you'd like to share? Hell of a thing, wasn't it? That run made me glad that I don't have to spend a lot of time in hospitals, I'll tell you that much. There wasn't a single aspect of that building that didn't make me feel uneasy. Pauses for a moment, then looks you in the eye. Kind of a pity, putting that rigger on ice like that. Least we could have done was herd him out. I get that the job is the job and all, but if a client really did screw him over, he deserved better than to get buried for it. He shrugs. I guess we'll never know. Nothing right now, Dietrich. Cool. Let's go back over to Blitz and just get that done really quick, because we still have Iger and Glory. One look at Blitz's face is enough to tell you that something is gnawing at him. He stands beside his table playing with a coffee spoon. I literally already forgotten what voice I gave him. Hi, Shadow! What you need? Well, Chief, I hate to admit it, but I might be in a little bit of trouble here. I think I'm still rocking a bit of that Dietrich with the Scottish, but I'm trying to lean it Irish. Definitely not what I gave him in the start of the episode. Go on. There's an awkward pause, then Blitz plows on ahead. Well, you remember those creditors I told you about? The ones who loaned me all of that money? Yes? Yeah, well, as it turns out, some of them are a little less forgiving than I thought they were. Keep talking. Well, one in particular seems to have taken things kinda personally. How personal are we talking here? I got a package in the mail. It had somebody's thumbs in it. Thumbs? Yeah, thumbs. They came in a cigar box, packed in salt. I have no idea who they belong to. I'm pretty sure they're meant to convey some sort of message. Really? You think so? He nods gravely. Yeah, I'm almost certain of it. I don't want to lose my thumbs, Chief. I like my thumbs. I think that I need to pay this guy back. Luckily, I've got a plan. I know how to get myself out of hot water with Meat Grinder. I've got it all specced out. Let me get this straight. You took a loan from somebody named Meat Grinder? Hey, Chief. Come on. I feel bad enough about this already. There's no need to rub it in. Anyway, like I was saying, I can make it alright again, but I'll need your help to do it. Well, there's this group out in Dragonfall. They call themselves the Landenberg Ring. They're a financial crime organization, and there's a lot of bad blood between them and Meat Grinder's operation. Anyway, back when I was running with the Schwarzheisen, I laid out the groundwork for a hit on the Landberg Ring. I was never able to make good on it, though. For some reason, none of the other gang has ever volunteered to help out. With your help, I could steal enough money from them to cover my debt, and get myself back into Meat Grinder's good graces in the process. So what do you think? A quick run, just you and me, with me in the Matrix, and you as my woman on the ground. We hit them, satisfy my debt, and laugh about it on our way back home. Sound like a plan? Alright, Blitz, but in the future you need to be more upfront with me about things like this. No problem, Chief! Not a problem at all. You kid count on me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some last-minute stuff to take care of before we get started. On Shadow? Thanks. No sweat, Blitz. Meet you at the U-Bahn? Oh, no. Not as such, Chief. I won't be physically going to Dragonfall. I've seen enough of that place for one lifetime. I'll be jacking in from a terminal that I set up here in the cruise bosser. Great. Okay, well, I guess that I'll send you a comm when I get there. Sounds good, Chief. Thanks again! Okay. Oh, but actually, any more, like, dialogue with you, my guy? Oh, no, he's setting up. Okay. Alright, so that's the thing. Let's go talk to Iger. As you approach, Iger turns to face you. Her rifle has been field-stripped and is lying in pieces on a sheet of butcher paper. Arranged in a neat row along the edge of the paper are bottles of copper solvent, bore cleaner, and lighter fluid. Our fearless leader returns. What do you need? Are we good now, Iger? Depends on what you mean when you say good. I won't question your competence again. Not in front of the others, at least. But I'm not gonna lie, I still have concerns about you, Shadow. What kind of concerns? Basic ones. I don't want to see history repeat itself. What history are you talking about? I'd rather not go into it, fearless leader. Let's just say that I've had bad luck with underexperienced teammates and leave it at that. About your time in the KSK. She shakes her head. No, I'm not in the habit of sharing war stories, Shadow. Not with people who've never served. Doesn't have to be a war story. I just want a better idea of who I'm running with. She looks you in the eye for a moment, evaluating. Finally, she shrugs. Alright, Shadow, you win. I owe everything to my time in the KSK, from my street name on down. So, you tell me what you want to know, and we'll see where this goes. Tell me how you got your street name. Back when I was in basic training, a fellow recruit made a vulgar joke at my expense. He said that I reminded him of the north face of the Eiger, of the Bernese Alps. Huge and beautiful, but dangerous to climb. His tone left little doubt as to what sort of climbing he had in mind. I think that he was trying to proposition me in his clumsy way, poking me in front of the other recruits to try to provoke a reaction. She shrugs. Anyway, he got one. I broke 3 of his ribs and the name stuck.
Remind me not to proposition you. A frown crosses her face.
Either you're trying to be cute or you've completely missed the point. Neither would surprise me.
I was trying to be cute, but okay.
I didn't break his ribs because he propositioned me, Shadow. I'm not a goddamn savage. I put that recruit down because he demeaned me, and he did it in front of our peers.
Calm down, Iger. I was just joking. Yeah, I have a hard time with her. I'm too flippant, I think.
Funny. That's exactly what that recruit said as he was being dragged off to the medic's tent. It was just a joke. I didn't mean anything by it. I was never reprimanded by the top brass, though. They knew what I knew. Whatever that recruit's intent, he put me in a situation that required a response.
Okay, I stand corrected.
You might mean that. Or you could just be trying to de-escalate the situation.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
You tell me, fearless leader. You want to hear why I did what you did? Or would you rather I just drop it? Because there are plenty of other things that I could be doing right now.
Go ahead, tell me.
Alright, I will. As soon as that idiot made his little joke, it was a foregone conclusion that I was getting saddled with the nickname Eiger. My only choice in the matter was whether it happened under his terms or under mine. If I hadn't broken that twit's ribs, the name Eiger would have meant a difficult sexual conquest to a whole barracks full of recruits. That's what I would have been to them, from that point on. My own accomplishments be damned. Thanks to what I did, my new name meant the troll who doesn't take shit from anyone. Instead, it's a name I'm proud to go by, and I've hung on to it ever since.
Eiger pauses for a moment, then looks you in the eye.
A word of advice to you, Shadow. If anyone ever puts you in the position that he put me in, if he demeans you in front of your unit, whatever his intent, the appropriate response is to put that person down. Hard. Out in the field, nothing will kill you faster than losing the respect of your team.
By that logic, I should have broken your ribs after Monica died.
In your place, I would have.
She looks you up and down, appraising you.
Not that you'd have succeeded if you tried, but in terms of saving face, it would have done wonders. In all seriousness, Shadow, I'm sorry that I put you in that position. I shouldn't have, and I acknowledge that.
She straightens. Cool. Got through that one, saving face. Tell me about your team. She nods.
Fair enough, I guess that you've earned it. There were 8 of us, 2 commando squads, working together as a single unit. Schmidt and Lange were combat deckers. Wolf was our rigger and combat engineer. Fisher handled demolitions. Braun was a medic. And the rest of us, Metzger, Kruger, and myself, were weapons experts. Our mission was extraterritorial. Technically illegal, but important enough to justify the risk. We'd been sent across the border into Poland. The Russian mafia had set up a cottage industry and human trafficking all along the Oder-Neisse line, and it was our job to disrupt it.
Sounds more like a police action than a military operation. Wouldn't the GSG usually handle that kind of thing?
Typically, yes. But in recent years, the Russian mob has become more and more heavily militarized. The brass decided that they posed enough danger to the region to qualify as a terrorist threat, and that brought them under our purview. Anyway, we were a good team, experienced. We went through a lot together. We chalked up a lot of kills. In our own way, I'd like to think that we did some good.
Who was in command?
Metzger. Best leader I've ever had the pleasure of serving under.
Her face clouds.
He was a hell of a man, but he went down with the rest of the team. Everyone but me.
What happened to the team? She shakes her head.
No, that's one story that I won't be telling. They died. That's all you need to know.
Thoughts about the last run?
I imagine we'll be able to talk to her more about personal stuff as the things progress, like more of those topics, you know what I mean? Because there was like 3 more, I think. She shrugs. It was a nice change of pace. A simple job with a straightforward objective. At the end of the day, the whole thing was pretty by the numbers. The rigger died, we got paid, and everyone went home happy. That's a win in my book. No more questions. Thank you, Edgar. Sure thing, fearless leader. Good talk. Alright, Glory, your turn. Glory's expression remains distant, but her lips curl upward into a hint of a smile. Everything still okay with you? You never need to worry about me, Shadow. I'm fine. I'd still like to know more about that chrome you're sporting. That's not a story that I'm interested in telling out of context. If you really wanted to get into it, we're going to need to go back. Way back. She stares at you with her cold, dead eyes. I'm not sure that you want to do that. You say that you'll give me answers when we talk about your past, so let's talk about it. Why do you care? There's no hostility in her voice. If anything, she sounds suspicious. Because I'm the leader of this team and I need to know as much as I can about the runners who are working with me. She pauses for a moment, considering. Alright, fine. We can talk. But we're doing it on my terms. This is a long story, Shadow. Long and ugly and cruel. Are you sure that you want to hear this? Please. Alright, I'm going to start at the beginning. Not for you, for me. I guess that it might help me to say all this out loud. She takes a deep breath, then slowly releases it. When she speaks, her voice comes out in a cool monotone. My family lived in Stuttgart. It was a nice enough place, I suppose. My parents worked as wage slaves for IFMU. My mom was a good person. Once upon a time, my father was a decent person as well. That's what Mom always told me, but I never knew him that way. She pauses for a long moment. When she begins speaking again, some of the ice has fallen away from her voice. For the first time since you met her, Glory sounds alive. And the dad that I knew was an old damaged Euro War vet who turned to hardline religion to make sense of the world. In Stuttgart, this meant either the Ritter Christi or their fascist cousins, the Kreuzritters. My father chose the latter path. I still remember hiding in my room when my father had his Kreuzritter brothers over for prayer group. They would drink and get rowdy, and spend an hour or two riling themselves up with talk about heretics and the devil's work. Then they'd go find some poor elf or dwarf, stomp the living shit out of him, and drown him in the Nakar. Meanwhile, I'd be holed up at home with Mom, who would commemorate the event by drinking a bottle of wine and crying herself to sleep. I'm sorry, Glory. No child should have to grow up around that. Thanks, Shadow. This is difficult for me. Thank you for making it easier. Anyway, aside from the fact that my dad and his buddies were a bunch of murderous assholes, life was pretty normal. I went to school, made friends, hung out with my mom, kid stuff. And then I turned 14 and everything went to shit. Glory pauses, then swallows hard. Ever so slightly, her cheeks flush red. Suddenly, she looks self-conscious, as if she's just snapped out of a trance. As quickly as it came, the flush of emotion disappears. Her voice frosts over. I don't want to talk about this anymore. You don't need to say anything you don't want to, but if you ever want to talk, you know where to find me. Thank you for your understanding. Glory stares at you through cold, dead eyes. Now let's get back to the job at hand, shall we? Now, we've done another mission, you know. I think we've got like 2 prompts for everybody because we did 2 missions in a row without checking up on people. How are we doing, Glory? Golden as always, no problems. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were warming up to me. She studies your face for a moment before responding. I suppose that you might say that. I don't talk to many people, Shadow. It just doesn't seem to be worth the effort. I don't really feel much anymore. Not since... She caresses the chrome of her forearm with a hand made of articulated steel. This. I imagine she's probably ripped as much of her essence out as she can. Because don't forget, the more cyberware you get, the more, like, bioessence you lose. which prevents you from doing spell casting and any kind of that stuff. But it could also be used to, like, deaden your emotions or mental state, too, which kind of feels like is where hers is going. I don't remember anyone's storyline, by the way. Like, it's been long enough that I played this that I really only remember the ending battle, and I'll probably remember a few things as they show up. That's true. Why are you still talking to me? I suppose because you've shown an interest, because you haven't let me push you away. She locks eyes with you. Her expression is blank. I don't want to mislead you, Shadow. I still don't feel anything. Not warmth or friendship or even trust. But I can appreciate the effort you're making. It's something new, and it's worthy of exploring. You said that things went bad when you turned 14. I'd like to keep talking about that. She stares at you, her face expressionless. No, I'd rather not. Why not? Because I don't see a reason to. The memories are unpleasant, and dredging them up doesn't serve any real purpose. You're wrong about that. This option was there last time, and I could have done it, but I didn't want to force and, like, piss her off, you know? You're wrong about that. The last time we talked, it had an impact on you. That's reason enough to continue. She pauses for a moment to consider your words, a troubled look on her face. I suppose that's true. Feeling discomfort is better than feeling nothing at all. Alright, here's the deal, Shadow. I'm going to talk, you listen. When I'm done, I'm done. No complaints and no arguments. And we'll see what happens. Deal. Right. The 1,000-meter stare, I had a feeling, creeps back into Glory's eyes. Moments later, she's locked away in her own head again, reliving memories that she'd long since filed away. So a few days after my 14th birthday, I began to express magically. I figured your burnouts while you went nuts with discount Chrome. You couldn't hack it. Wow! Fuck that one. You're magically active? I was. Glory gestures at her cyberware-riddled body. Not anymore. There is another long pause, and Glory becomes more animated. Anyway, I turned 14. I awakened. I don't even remember how my parents found out about it anymore. I think that my dad caught me playing with a tiny city spirit that I coaxed out of a pile of garbage. Something like that. With everything that happened afterward, those days are kind of a blur. What I do remember is my father's response to the revelation that his little girl was a witch, a hexe. He beat the living shit out of me with his fists, and then his belt, and then a claw hammer that he grabbed out of his toolbox. And all while my mother was screaming and flailing at him. She took a couple of licks with the hammer, too. I'd very much like to murder your father. It's a common sentiment, believe me, but I appreciate the thought. So finally, after what felt like an hour, Dad stopped tuning me up with the hammer. I had broken ribs, a busted arm, I couldn't see out of my left eye, and my entire right side was covered with one giant bruise. I was bleeding all over the place, making a real mess of the carpet. The old bastard spat on me, his bleeding, crying daughter. He spat on me and told me that I was des Teufel Secure, the devil's whore. Then he kicked me out of the house. As I was crawling away, my father told me that if he or any of his Cruise Ritter brothers ever saw me again, they'd treat me as the Berlin chapter treats the enemies of God. If you're not familiar with how the Cruise Ritters here in Berlin deal with heretics, it's decidedly less pretty than what my dad and his buddies did to their victims. I got the hint, and the next morning I hitched a ride out of Stuttgart. You were a human girl, presumably with an ID. Why didn't you go to a hospital? Oh, I did, but not in Stuttgart. If I went to a local hospital with the kind of injuries that Dad gave me, there'd be questions, and I couldn't afford to stay in town any longer than I had to. Even if my dad wound up getting arrested for beating me, the rest of the local Cruise Ritters would have found me, and I'd have wound up skinned alive and thrown into the Neckar. I wound up in Tübingen. I figured it'd be a safe enough place to find medical attention, and maybe to call home. It's not far from Stuttgart, but it has a huge student community that I figured I could blend into, and the university there has a decent magic department. My ride dropped me off at the university hospital, and they patched me up pretty good. Had some questions for me about how I got so beaten up, but I lied and told them I'd been mugged, which played nicely into my complete lack of cash, credit, and identification. Glory pauses for a moment and looks down at the floor, then fixes her eyes on you. She is visibly tense. We're gonna fast forward through the next few years. I was a kid on the street. I got by as best I could, doing whatever I had to do. The rest we can leave up to your imagination. Good? Good. Good. Glory's clenched jaw relaxes somewhat, and the tension drains out of her shoulders. Thanks. So anyway, I lived on the streets for a few years. Got used to being hungry all the time. Got used to being rained on. Got by. I was painfully aware that I had magical talents, but without any kind of training or guidance. I didn't really know how to use or develop them. Truth be told, they scared me, so I more or less ignored them. So it sort of went like that, until a few days after my 17th birthday. Then I met Marta, and everything changed. Marta was a sweet girl. At first I took her for a street kid, like me. Her clothes were a little ratty, and she seemed comfortable being near me. But she also looked well-fed and happy, and those were two things that I hadn't been in years. We started hanging out, and before I knew what was happening, I was in love. There was a genuine attraction between Marta and me, I think. But I also think that a lot of my affection for her came from the fact that she was the first person in years to give a damn about me. She cared, and I loved her for that. Glory pauses. She looks flustered, her composure cracked. Keep going, Glory. She stares at you for a beat, then nods. A few ragged breaths later, she continues. Marta told me about a place where she'd been hanging out. She invited me to join her there. It was called Flux-State, the fireplace, and it was sort of a commune for dispossessed youth. Turns out that a lot of the street kids I'd known over the years had moved there. The way they disappeared, I'd assumed they'd been kidnapped or killed, or had gone back to their parents. But there they were. I remember being kind of angry about it, like, how did everybody get the memo about this but me? Marta calmed me down. She was good at helping me work through my feelings, and I wound up following her to Flux-State. To a street kid, it was basically paradise. The owner, a guy named Harrow, had set up this little farm just outside Tübingen, in the Schönbuch forest. The Schönbuch is officially a nature park, but not many people go there nowadays. Too much fear of paranormal animals, I guess. Anyway, park or not, it was plenty big enough for us to hide in. It was also safe and pretty, and the farm was well stocked with food. Most importantly, Flux-State gave us a sense of community and stability that we'd never had on the street, and we loved Harrow for that. He became like a surrogate father to us. Glory pauses again, and you recognize the distinctive flush in her cheeks. She seems to have come out of her reverie once again. And that's enough for now. I need to process all of this, and I don't want to continue forward until I've had the chance to do that. I know this all happened years ago, but I guess it's still pretty raw to me. That's what happens when you shove it all down. It stays raw until you deal with it. So I'm gonna ask you to give me some space for a while. She turns away, and the frost begins to creep back into her voice. We can pick it back up later. Glory's pallid face lights up at your approach. A genuine smile spreads across her lips. Shadow, good to see you. You too, Glory. How are things with you? You know what? I'm happy, actually. For the first time in a long time. I have you to thank for that. You're going to tell me about the chroma you're sporting? Be patient, Shadow. The explanation for that is coming. A look of unease flits across her face. I'm not sure that you're going to like it, though. I mean, I haven't actually technically given her time, but that's fine. Ready to talk about Flux-State? Yeah. Glory looks troubled, more so than you've ever seen her before. Whatever memories she's dredging up must be exceedingly painful. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been looking forward to this. But yeah, it's time. Shadow. Look, I'm about to tell you some things about myself that might change your opinion of me. It's entirely possible that you're going to hate me based on what's coming up next. I've accepted that, and if that's what happens, I sincerely believe that I deserve it. She looks you in the eye, her expression grim. So tell me, are you sure that you want to keep pushing forward with this? It's clearly causing pain, Glory. You know what? Let's back down from the storytelling. I don't need to know anything more about your past to know how much I value you. I want to know everything! I'll still value, but I want to know it all! It's important for you, Glory. After everything we've been through, I think we both know that. Whatever you have to tell me, I'm ready to listen. Thanks, Shadow. Thanks for being a friend. Hey, changed from 2 prompts ago. So when we left off last time, I had just moved from the streets of Tübingen to the warm, inviting confines of Flux-State. Marta and I were happy there for a little while, and Harrow embraced me as a long-lost daughter. I should probably take a moment to talk more about Harrow. He's going to be an important figure in this story. I don't know what his age was. He seemed old enough to be paternal, but young enough to hang with the kids on something like a peer level. Best guess, I'd say he was in his mid-20s. He was handsome and well-built, with a neatly trimmed beard and thick brown hair. And there was something else about him, something uncanny. I feel like I recognize the name Harrow, maybe from the first game? Harrow had this charisma, this raw magnetic attraction that just made people latch onto him. I saw it over and over. All it took was a few words and a pat on the shoulder, and Harrow would have a new convert. The other kids at the farm followed him around like lost puppies. As much as I loved Marta, and as much as I thought she loved me, we forgot all about one another when Harrow was around. All that we wanted was to be close to him, to be a part of his inner circle. And soon enough we were. For a girl of 17, it was all terribly exciting. Harrow had these rules of living that he would teach us, rules about self-determination and the importance of disobedience. He claimed to have taught classes at the University of Berlin, which he painted as a mix between an earthly paradise and an anarchist playground. He told us how Flux-State would be the focal point of a new movement for the children of the fatherland. He told us that we were special. We ate it up, of course. We were kids. For those of us in the inner sanctum, Harrow would share even more. He had power the likes of which I had never seen. Not my father's drunken fists or my own childish experiments, but genuine, incredible power. He said that it came from the Horned God, an ancient deity that he venerated. He knew about my latent abilities right away, and he offered to teach me. Naturally, I accepted. I've heard of the Horned God. His followers have a poor reputation, especially among women. Any bad reputation they might have gained is well deserved, but there was more to it than that, as you'll see. Glory sighs. Hang with me, Shadow. Rough waters ahead. So I became Harrow's apprentice. He taught me to channel magic and summon spirits. He taught me rituals and pagan traditions, Machiavellian philosophy and Nietzschean ethics. Above all, he taught me how to connect with his Horned God, and through it I learned power and arrogance, and it was all downhill from there. For the next few years, I lived at Flux-State as Harrow's enforcer and right-hand girl. I was also his sometimes wife and concubine, but that was a distinction that I shared with all of the girls in the commune, including my beloved Marta. I came to learn that she'd been his long before she met me, but by that point I didn't care. I'd embraced the rules of living. I was Harrow's creature through and through. I didn't ask questions, and I walked the path that was in front of me. Other fun facts about those years. I learned cruelty. I had power now, and my new idol encouraged me to use it. Harrow did the same. Any children who didn't pull their weight were subjected to my tender mercies, and I was anything but tender. I took what I wanted rather than asking for it. I liked it. It was fun. I also came to learn that Harrow's Horned God was not the Eichenfürst worshipped by throwback cults across Germany. It was certainly a god with horns, but it came from an altogether different tradition. Care to hazard a guess? Educate me. Satan, Lucifer, Old Scratch. In the magically active community, we refer to it as the adversary. Whatever you choose to call it, it's every bit as bad as it sounds. So my idol, the ancient deity that was feeding me my power, was the antithesis of everything that is right and good. And you know what? I didn't care. In our time together, Harrow and I committed more atrocities than I could count. At this point, I was on to all of his tricks. I knew that Flux-State was nothing more than a honey trap, carefully designed to lure local children into my master's clutches. I knew that the kids who seemed resistant to Harrow's brainwashing techniques wound up fertilizing the garden. I knew that Harrow's entire manifesto was bullshit. And I knew that through it all, Harrow and the adversary were laughing, because I was laughing right there beside them. I don't want to pin the blame for my decisions on anyone but me. That said, I would like to posit that my father's connection to the Cruise-Ritters might have helped play into my willingness to serve the adversary. In my warped, indoctrinated little brain, I equated the church with evil, so to the opposite of that, I figured had to be, well, if not good, then at least not totally bad. But I was kidding myself, of course. My new deity was the very definition of bad. Serving it made me bad. End of story. We all make our own choices in life. When you chose to hurt innocent kids, my sympathy for you went right out the window. Fuck that. I can't excuse a choice that you made, but I can't understand why you made them. I disagree with you, Glory. I don't think that any of this was your fault. Harrow is the one who deserves the blame, and I do believe that. And what if he was indoctrinated into the service of the adversary when he was my age? Would he not be at fault anymore either? She shakes her head. No, Shadow. Harrow certainly deserves some of the blame for what I became. Maybe even most of it. But personal responsibility has to come into the equation somewhere. I mean, fair. I made my own choices, and they were horrible ones. I've accepted that. You should too. Glory pauses for a moment to collect herself. She looks haggard, and her pale cheeks are flushed blood red. She swallows hard, then presses forward. Anyway, one day, Harrow invited me on a field trip to Stuttgart. Over the years that I was in Flux-State, the commune had easily doubled in size. It was thriving, all thanks to the efforts of Marta and the girls like her. Harrow would send the girls out to neighboring cities to lure in the street kids that nobody would miss. He targeted children because they were easy to indoctrinate, and nothing makes the adversary happier than the corruption of the innocent. As we drove out to pick up the new recruits, I was already planning ahead. It was a foregone conclusion that I would pay my father a visit. The irony of a group of Cruise-Ritters getting immolated by a genuine servant of the actual devil tickled me to no end. So when Harrow stopped to fill up on diesel, I hopped out of the van and headed out on foot to my parents' place. Harrow wasn't overly concerned about my absence. I had long since reached the point where I could assert my autonomy, and he knew that I'd be back. I wound up at my folks' house sometime around noon. I could hear the adversary whispering in my ear, telling me what to do. I'd long since learned to listen to its voice. It always rewarded me with extra power when I did its bidding. It told me to knock, and so I did. As the door opened up, I could feel a torrent of flames welling up into the astral plane all around me. It told me to channel them into the doorway, into my father. So I did. But of course, the person who opened the door wasn't my father. It was my mother. As I watched her flesh blacken and melt, as I heard her scream and I broke into hysterics, I heard the adversary laugh. And at that moment, I realized that it was laughing at me. I'm so sorry, Glory. Glory nods, a grim expression on her delicate face. Thanks. We're almost to the end now. Thanks for sticking with me. It was like a lever had been pulled. All at once, the bubble popped. I wasn't a powerful servant of the adversary. I was not Harrow's #1 girl. I was a ridiculous little fool who'd willingly tied her soul to the worst thing in existence. Realizing all of this was one thing. Actually fixing it was something else entirely. I knew that I had to get away from Harrow. That was the first thing to do. So I bit my lip and did my best to ignore the happy babble of the new recruits on the trip back to Flux-State, and I managed to get through the ride without screaming. Once we were back at the commune, I broke into Harrow's safe, stole all of the commune's resources, and ran. I don't know when Harrow realized what I'd done, or whether he even cared. All that I knew is that nobody came after me, so I kept running and running until I got to Berlin. Getting past the wall was fairly simple. You know how easy it is to obtain falsified papers. The biggest obstacle that I faced during my flight was the adversary itself. I could run from Harrow, but how do you run from something that's tied to your own soul? I have a feeling that I know. The haunted look in Glory's eyes is heartbreaking. She gives you another curt, grim nod. I walked into the office of the first street doc I could. I pointed at all of the biggest, bulkiest pieces of cyberware that he had on display, and I told him to put them on to me. He tried to upsell me on better merchandise, arguing that what I was asking for was old and inefficient, and better suited to be installing in a museum than in a body. He told me that I'd be shredding my essence, and that once it was gone, I'd never be able to get it back. I stuck to my guns. After all, shredding my essence was the whole point. Glory looks up at you. Her eyes are sunken and hollow, and the aura of loss about her is palpable. She looks like a woman who has been through hell. Kinda literally. And that's all for now, Shadow. You've heard the tale, and you know why I am the way I am. You know the things I've done, and how much I have to atone for. If you still want my company, fine. If I've lost your friendship, I understand that too. But for now, I need to be alone. Yeah, I don't blame you in the slightest. Nope, okay. I can't talk to her about the last run either, because that one kind of takes a bit more priority. So that's our entire party talk to. It took a while, and I think that's probably going to be most of this episode. Yeah, shoot. But definitely worth. 5 unread messages. Alright, go ahead. Screen flickers to life, and Malit's face appears from the shifting background and ambient noise. It's clear this message was recorded on a portable device. Hi, Shadow. Just want to tell you that I've met up with some limited success in working on that stack of DVDs. It's a thorny problem, but at least I'm making some headway. If you look on the table beside your DVD player, you will find another recovered disc. I wasn't able to salvage all of the files on it, but I think that you might find what I did recover to be of interest. For my part, though, I'm going to continue working on the other DVDs. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't hold out much hope, though. They're all badly damaged and suffering from disc rot besides. I'll be in touch. My best to you and your team. Hijack shipments. Met back Gunari to Shadow. If you value new hardware coming to the cruise boster, we need to talk. One of my weapons shipments was hijacked by a local gang. I can promise 500 new yen, and if you recover the shipment, I'll have some new gear on the shelf. Oh, cool. Mission from our weapons dude. Still alive. To Jana. Oh, yeah. I guess that I should thank you. You got me out of that horrible job alive. I don't think I could have made it on my own. What happened on that last run took everything else away from me, but at least I'm still breathing. The lodge turned me into a killer, Shadow. That gnaws at my guts every minute of every day, and I still can't sleep at night. Innocent people, normal people, died because of what I did. And you know why they made me do it? Because they could. I don't know. Maybe this doesn't bother you. You're a Shadowrunner, after all. You kill people all the time. Just another day at the office, huh? Well, I'm not like you. I can't just kill people on the job and forget about it the next day. This is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. I don't know how to live with this, but it's still better than not living at all. That's what I keep telling myself, and so I figured that I might as well tell it to you too, Jay. Aw, you poor thing. Yeah. Sucks that you had to be involved in that. Sucks that we got manipulated about the bombing. Like, I didn't appreciate not being told. If I knew about it, probably still would have done it, but at least then I'd known, you know. Still, I hope she's okay. Escabel. Oh, come see me at your earliest convenience. There's a matter we need to discuss. Silky. Hi, Shadow. This is Silky from the hotel. I hope that's okay. I'm writing you. Samuel gave me your email address. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for everything that you did for me. Kicking my cram habit was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I don't think I would have tried if you hadn't talked me into it. To celebrate my newfound sobriety, I've decided to sign on as a volunteer at the charity. Who knows, maybe giving back to the community will help turn things around in my life. Anyway, thank you again, Shadow. I owe you one. Yours, Silky. So now I imagine if I go talk to all those people again, they'll actually have new lines. I'll save that for next episode, though. Claim payment for the pharma cleanup job. Herr Fuchs, an excellent job, Shadow. You're a credit to your profession, and I would not hesitate to hire you again. Your fee will be transferred to your account immediately. Payment from client, 15,000. Deductions for crew salary, 4,000. So probably 1,000 each. Ammunitions and resupply cost, 1,000. Sure. Automatic deduction for Alice funds. Oh, cool! There's automatic deduction. I appreciate that. So I don't even really need to worry about paying that 50,000. It's just going to automatically deduct as we go. Remainder sent to Shadow's account. Cool. You submit the job as finished and await your client's response. A few moments later, a message pops onto the screen. Samuel Beckenbauer, here's your payment. Oh, so I never claimed that. Shoot. 22,500. Deductions for crew salary. Resupply. Deductions for Alice. Cool. I need to remember to do that. Pending. Amsol's face winks onto the screen. Shadow, here you will find the complete transcript of my conversation with Herr Schmidt, a potential client. As you will see, the details of this job are a bit more vague than I would like, but the payout is quite substantial. After reading the transcript, you may choose whether or not to accept the job. If you respond in the affirmative, our client will be notified, and I will make all necessary preparations for the run. One other thing. Herr Schmidt provided me with a device to assist you on the run. He calls it a little black box. Apparently, it can be used to compromise the power and security systems of the run site. If you opt to take this job, be sure to take it with you. Greetings, Herr Amsel. I trust that this connection is secure. Naturally, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking? Call me Herr Schmidt. Very well, Herr Schmidt, you have some business for me. Indeed, I have a job for your team. A simple matter. Judging by what I've heard of your team, I imagine they will be well suited to the task. Go on. The interests that I represent have learned that AG Chemi Europa is working on a company-wide project. Something very secret, very new. Reliable sources inform me that they're keeping a working prototype of this new venture at their Berlin facility. I see. And your employers wish us to acquire this prototype for them. Naturally. What is this project? If you want my team to grab the prototype for you, they'll need to know what they're looking for. I'm not at liberty to say. I can tell you that the prototype has been branded Mark 6. I can also tell you that your team will find it on the 25th floor of the Berlin facility in the office of one Albrecht Hasshofer. Further, I can assist your team in disabling building security and gaining access to the 24th floor. From there, however, they will be on their own. Such vagueness can be dangerous, Herr Schmidt. I will not commit my team to a run without a better understanding of what the job entails. Facing such dangers is the purpose of a Shadowrunner, Herr Amsel. Your team will be rewarded handsomely for their services. My employers have set aside 20,000 new yen for the job. Consider it hazard pay if you wish. Make it 25,000 or look somewhere else. 22,500, final offer. Very well, I will pass your offer on to my team. Are there any further details that you can provide? Hasshofer's office will be locked behind a vault door. The lock is old-fashioned, of the mechanical variety. I shall provide your team with a copy of the key. I will also supply you with a little black box, a solid-state device that your team can use to override a variety of building systems. Your team will enter through the facility's underground garage. When your team has acquired the Mark 6, have them exit through the same garage. I will have a van there waiting to extract them. Thank you, Herr Schmidt. I will pass your offer on to my team. Good day. Yeah, sounds easy. Cool. Status of the Alice Fund. We literally have over half of what we need for it. That's awesome. And I can deposit money in, but like, why would I? Okay, Shadowlands probably have some new stuff for me. Post-pay data for sale. Humana Safe House list. And the Sharing Pharma AG chemical research data. Massacre at Schottennest Schoolhouse. Really attention-grabbing headline, right? That's how the local news has been spinning it. Truth is, the schoolhouse was abandoned years ago and was being used as a humanist recruitment and training complex. Tolstoy. You're kidding me. A friend of mine was going there after class and he said it was just a community center. Alex Tusk. I know none of you are fans of Humanist, but that entire chapter house got wiped clean. There were probably some kids in there off the street who were just looking for a hot meal. Screw Humanist for exploiting them, but they didn't deserve death. Jast. Good riddance to those assholes. Streets are a little safer now that they're all buried. Maelstrom. When trolling on the Humanist board, and that place was totally wiped out. Volker Stahl was in charge of that chapter house. Good riddance to that piece of dreck. You should not believe everything you read on the Matrix. My sources tell me he's already moved on to a safe house. It seems like whenever things get rough for Humanist, he always comes through without a scratch. Hopefully not. The Lodge wanted him. Just finished up drinks with a chummer who was doing some biz up there. The real story is Humanist did not want to pay for services rendered, and some hired muscle went crazy and took them all out. I mean, that is technically true. So the muscle decided taking the whole place down would get the Nuyen back? Well, that's one way to make a living, I guess. Even if your friend did get screwed out of a bit of Nuyen, I don't think Humanus would even be worth the bullets, especially that many. Transis, Highlander, best new deck. Just got one of these from a Transis NeuroNet rep. Wants me to sell them in my store, so I took the puppy for a test drive. Signal quality is insane. It makes for a huge difference in comfort decking fatigue. I can stay jacked in for hours and feel fine. Last session, I had to set a timer just so I wouldn't forget to eat. Lumens. Specs on that thing look impressive, but I'm an Allegiance man. Does the comfort really make that much of a difference? My decks are generally beaters anyway. Allegiance? What are you doing with that thing? Playing video games? Any serious decking is going to require way more horsepower than that thing can push, even overclocked. Only a crappy decker blames their gear. I do just fine, thanks. Lumens. How much is Transis paying you to post this shice on here? Yeah, really. Dead read like an advertisement. Save the F-State. The time to rise up against the corporations is now. Fight for a free Berlin. Neo-revolutionary Alpha. You just fall out of a time warp. The war is over and we won. Hard to imagine Berlin any freer. Maybe you just need to switch to decaf? Lol. As long as any corporation is active anywhere in the F-State, we are all at risk. We must act. Corps are good for business and keep in their little corners. Why do you think we would help you? How naive to think they will stay there forever. Don't you see that they are taking the freedom we all hold so dear? Plans are being made across the F-State. With the shadow community on our side, we shall prevail! The F-State has its own way of dealing with those who step out of line. Take your politics somewhere else. Around here, we've got bills to pay. Hoy, chummers, I could use your help. Every time I jack into the Matrix these days, I'm flooded with junk mail. So much of it. I can't even see. Can anyone help me? Rollin' Thunder. Great, another newbie who thinks he's on a tech support board. Hey, stuff it. I wouldn't ask, but I'm desperate. I can't deck like this. Alright, Thunder. Calm down. It sounds like an adbot is keyed into your deck. Been poking around anywhere sketchy lately? I don't need details. A simple yes or no will do. The smiling bandit. No, bandit. Haven't been anywhere like that. I swear. Please help me. What you want to bet he gave his personal info to some scam site? I'll give you 10 to 1 odds. No, I don't think so. All I've done was make an online dating profile. Let me guess. Meet and mate? How did you guess? That's not a real dating site, Thunder. It's a place where desperate people go to get infected with malware. But what do I do? How do I make it stop? I don't know. Buy a new deck? Best of luck! Lol. Running on SK. Shice, what a thrill. Had to do a simple data steal on an SK branch office, turned into an OK Corral shootout. Never seen first response team arrive that fast in my life. Had a Decker off-site running damage control, managed to distract the second team to a different building while we jacked the car the first team came in. Lesson learned. Simple when it comes to SK means something else. You stole the corpse response vehicle? Don't they have trackers on those things? Of course they do. Dumped it off the side of the road with a primed grenade in the backseat just to be safe. Nice one. Bragging about a nearly failed run on SK? Is it worth them paying a Decker to backtrace your Shadowland account? Any idea what valuable data they were hiding in that branch office? No idea. Money was too good to take any chances. Safely delivered it and the transfer cleared. I like how we see like certain names come up like Maelstrom and stuff like that. Cool. I think that's it for now. So, let's go talk to Paul Amsel and we will end out the episode. Shadow, welcome back. I have news for you. In your absence, I have been looking into the Harfeld Manor. Whatever Feel Schwingy is up to, it is both large-scale and well-funded. I've uncovered a money trail leading from holding companies all over the world to an offshore fund with a dummy address. From there, all of that freshly laundered money flows directly into the Harfeld estate. Wait a second, why would the dragon have investors? That doesn't make sense. It's doubtful that the Firewings pawns even know where their money is going. This is typical of draconic plots. Uncover a stream of money flowing behind the scenes, and there's a fair chance that you'll find a dragon at the receiving end of it. To a dragon, conspiracy is second nature. But But Fierce Schwingy was different. She didn't scheme or plot, she acted. Yes, and look at where it got her. When the Firewing launched her attack on humanity, it was an act of hubris. She lashed out because she didn't consider our species to be a threat. It would be equally hubristic for us to assume that she will make the same mistake twice. I will continue digging into this while you and your team tackle your next run. With luck, I will have more information to share upon your return. One last thing, Shadow. Malit was able to restore the readable surface of one of Greenwinter's DVDs. If you'd like to take a look, you will find it sitting beside the player. I'll check it out. Very good. Malit is still working on the other DVDs from the bundle. Many of them are extensively damaged, and getting anything off of them is proving to be quite a chore. She told me that she'll be in touch if and when she makes any headway. Thanks, Paul. By the way, anything new with you? Shadow, Frau Mueller should be on her way, but before you go to the meeting site, I have news. Glance at you and his words trail off. Oh, the ambush. Upon seeing the expression on your face, Amsel's voice becomes grave. It can wait. Tell me what happened. Bad news, my friend. Somebody's hunting us. They set up an ambush on the U-Bahn line. Amsel pauses, then gives a curt nod. Truth be told, I have been expecting that something like this might happen. I'm just glad that you made it out alive. Hand over the encrypted PDA, one of the attackers dropped this. Yes, I should be able to extract some information from this. Give me a moment. Plugs the PDA into his computer and goes to work. A few minutes later, he lets out a grunt of dismay. Well, Shadow, I was able to recover a file, but unfortunately, that's all that I'll ever be able to pull off this thing. All that anyone will, truth be told. It must have been running some kind of counter-intrusion software. The instant that I gained access, it bricked itself. Amsel disconnects the useless PDA and drops it to the ground. It clatters to a rest on the metal floor. Damn it, we're in trouble enough already. We can't afford to lose what few leads we have. No, we can't. But as I said, I did manage to copy a file, so it's not a complete loss. It looks to be a comm file. The audio is all here, but we've only got video from one side of the conversation. He opens the file, and a nightmarishly familiar face appears on the screen. Yep, I had a feeling. Buck Mueller! The voice bleats out from Amsel's speakers filling the room. Audron here! What's your status? Buck Mueller's image is garbled, but his voice sounds young and eager. Target acquired, sir. You were right. We spotted her on the U-Bahn, just like you said. Probably on her way to a job. As per your instructions, we're gonna try and take her out on the way back. She'll be more vulnerable that way. Hopefully injured and low on ammo, too, but only time will tell. Good man. Proceed as instructed. Will do. Cosman is rigging up an ambush spot now. We'll try to make it quick. The orc with the nightmarish face nods. Send me a comm when the job is done. Audran out. Well, our scarred friend makes an appearance. Shadow, I suspect that Green Winters' predictions are coming true. I believe that Fia Schwingy is behind this. Under Amsel's patient exterior, you can feel the worry that's eating at him. Be on your guard, you and the rest of your team. You made it through this attack relatively unscathed, but next time you might not be so lucky. At least now we have a name to put to the face, Audron. That's not all we have. As I was saying when you first walked in, I have been productive as well. I was able to uncover some new evidence in your absence, and coincidentally enough, that evidence pertains to our scarred friend. You might recall that I said I'd dig into Audron's skin grafts. Well, I did, and that search has finally borne fruit. One of my contacts outside of Berlin handles the paperwork for private hospitals all across Germany. It's a dull, boring job, but it does have its perks. Pain. Amsel pulls open a file on his computer. A medical chart opens on the screen. As it turns out, our scarred friend's skin grafts were performed at a legitimate hospital after all. Some good news for once. What do they say? Well, they're rather light on identifying information. Our friend's name is listed as Max Musterman, the local equivalent of a John Doe, but they do cover his injuries in great detail. Audran's injuries were extensive. He had 2 broken ribs and a shattered pelvis, and he had sustained third-degree burns over 60% of his body. Most damningly of all, he was suffering from acute radiation poisoning. His body had absorbed over 5,000 millisieverts of ionizing radiation, a lethal dose without treatment. The information dries up at this point. We know that he was treated and discharged, but what happens afterward remained a mystery. He pauses for a moment, studying her reactions. Your thoughts? Hold nothing back. I'd like to hear everything that comes to mind. Aldrin might have spent some time in the SOX. Radiation poisoning didn't happen on its own. Agreed. 5,000 millisieverts is a lot of exposure. Short of basking in the glow of an unshielded reactor, I don't know how he'd have absorbed that much ionizing radiation without spending time in the SOX. Alright, so Aldrin was heavily irradiated, most likely from time spent in the SOX. What else does this tell you? Fire burns sound like dragon fire. I don't believe that Aldrin is working for the Firewing. I believe that he is serving her. On Green Winters' second DVD, oh, I haven't watched that yet, he mentions that there is a cult within the SOX that worships a Firewing, the disciple of the Cleaning Fire. I believe that Aldrin belongs to this cult. That's a bad news. It's nothing more dangerous than a zealot. My thoughts exactly. A hireling can sometimes be bribed or reasoned with. A pawn can be liberated. But if the Firewing soldiers look upon her as a goddess figure, nothing short of killing her will deter them, and even that might not stop them. So it is possible that Aldrin is a dragon cultist. It seems to fit with much of the other information that we've uncovered. Did any other red flags jump out at you? Hospital couldn't ID Aldrin, either somebody covered his tracks for him or he was living completely off the grid. Indeed. If Aldrin were a denizen of the SOX, a glowpunk, his lack of identifying information would make sense. It's a working theory, at any rate. So to sum up, Aldrin has probably spent time in the SOX. It's possible that he even lived there as a member of Fierschwingi's dragon cult, and he is after you. Pauses for a moment before continuing. In my mind, all of this reinforces one fact. We need to find Vauclair, and we need to do it fast. The hell with that, I'm gonna go find Aldrin and take him down. If he should wander into your crosshairs between now and our attack on Fierschwingi, then by all means, take him out. But I don't think you're likely to get that opportunity. It's far more likely that he'll continue throwing his men at you until one of them scores a lucky shot. We need to continue forward with our plan to hit the Harfeld Manor. Taking down the Firewing and her lapdog is the only way to guarantee that these attacks will cease. But before we do that, it's imperative that we find Vauclair. All the more reason to gather Alice's feet quickly. Agreed. There is a buzzing sound from Paul's wrist. He lifts his hand to look at his PDA. And as luck would have it, Frau Mueller has arrived. Best of luck at the meeting, Shadow. Remember, this is urgent. We need that money. Okay, anything new with you, Paul? Member of the team. Dossier. Cruise Bosser. Samuel Beckenbauer is a good man. Perhaps a bit xenophobic, but this is to be expected. He stands up for the rights of the goblinoid races, the orcs and the trolls, yes? And they have been more vilified and victimized than any of the other metahuman breeds. What is important is that he is a leader and a healer, and that he helps his people. In the soy calf shop, you will find Jan Goldschmidt. I tell you that you will find him there because he never seems to leave the place. Every time I go for a coffee, he is there sipping on soy calf. Beyond that, I cannot say what I think of the man. He is a jovial sack of fat. Perhaps if you speak with him, you can learn something more. Yep, no, that's fine. Alright. Correction, let's watch this DVD, then we'll end off the episode. Oh, there's a third one, too. Oh, is this the same one as before? No, okay. So, track 5 was gibberish. Track 1... Alright, as I said in my last recording, I've been having trouble finding hard facts on Fierschwingi, so I thought I'd open things up a bit. Let's see what the rumor mill has to say. Screen jumps and Winters reappears in a different location. He's now clutching a mug of soy calf in both hands, and there are bags under his eyes. Well, that was enlightening, assuming that any of it was true, that is. So for the past 5 hours, I've been poking around some of the crazier fringe theories relating to dragons and the Sox. As a reminder, the Sox is an irradiated wasteland between France and Germany, got zoned off back in 2008 after the Tenam-Gao reactor meltdown. Anyway, there are all kinds of rumors floating around about the place. I've heard stories about a walled city in there that operates on a survival of the fittest, kill-or-be-killed basis, Sort of like a nightmare inversion of the Berlin. All of the anarchy, but none of the stability that the F-State provides. The radiation poisoning, cancer, and mana pollution are just the icing on the cake. So when Adrian helped the Luftwaffe shoot Fierschwingy down, she crashed into the socks. That much is well known. What isn't as well known are all of the modern-day myths that have arisen about her since. Tonight I've heard an earful. Chatted up a girl who claimed to be a ghost rat. That's a smuggler that operates in the SOX. She told me about a dragon cult called the Disciples of the Cleaning Fire. Apparently these cultists worship some sort of radioactive ghost dragon. Could be Fierschwingy or it could be nothing, but it's worth digging into all the same. Another thing that my little ghost rat told me, the popular rumor in the SOX is that Fierschwingy's astral form was, I guess you'd say, mutated by all of that background radiation. Some of the glowpunks out there say that she's shed her body like an old coat. Others say that she's trapped, doomed to languish as an intangible radioactive ghost. I don't know how much credence to give any of this. After all, I don't even have any proof that my ghost rat is even a ghost rat. She might be, but then she also could be a run-of-the-mill glowpunk. Or maybe she's just yanking my chain and she's never been into the SOX at all, who knows. Well, it's food for thought anyway. I don't know whether the thought of some radioactive ghost dragon thing is any scarier than a genuine dragon is, but it's interesting all the same. Now the big question is, will any of this get me any closer to finding Adrian? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no, but you never can tell. Track 2. I don't really care about the dates. Alright, let's continue thinking outside the box. After the Dragonfall, the great dragon Kaltenstein came flying into the Sox to rescue the Firewing. But he was driven off, some say killed, by Lofear and Nibblehair. So what if there's another dragon involved in all of this? Winters grabs a thick, leather-bound tome from a shelf behind him, licks a finger, and begins to leaf through it. Alright, so let's run down the list of major dragons that could be helping her. First, there's the Golden Worm Lofear, the CEO of Staterkrupp, and quite possibly the single most dangerous being on Earth. Lofear's a local boy, so he'd be in a position to help Fierschwingy. He certainly has the financial capability to help her. He could send a small army into the SOX if he wanted to. So he's definitely got the means. But I can't see how he'd have the motive. He actively prevented the Firewing's rescue back in 2012 after all. Same thing is true for Nibblehair, so let's scratch the both of them off the list. We've got a Den, the Great Sarush. He's operating out of Turkey. By all accounts, he's not a fan of Lofear. They're actively competing for territory in the Middle East. So I suppose that might be considered motive. Reviving the Fireworm might cause problems for the Golden Worm. Would he risk a war with Staterkrupp by straying onto Lofear's territory? Again, I don't think it's likely. Turns another page. There's Caladir out in Wales. He's pretty heavily invested in Transys Neuronet, so he's got the money. But he's too busy dealing with the BTL killer scandal that Transys is going through out in London to get his claws dirty in the SOX. Flip. Junkle's Zahn out in the UCAS. Pauses, shakes his head, then he slams the tome shut. No, this is a waste of time. The more I think about it, the more convinced I am. The Firewing is acting alone. Dragons don't cooperate unless they absolutely have to. After all, why bother making nice with your equals when you've got an entire planet full of pawns at your disposal? They don't need to work together. They have us to exploit. While this track does load, it's clearly corrupted. Screen fills with a meaningless string of text. Just like 5 did. Recognize a few words here and there, interspersed among the State. Blanc, Vauclair, still my big brother, still searching for Firewing, swear to, Leon, I will find you, it's the last, old, not getting any closer, swear to, new research, turning up, don't know who. Screen goes black and the same digital chime that you heard on the Dragonfall DVD plays again. Crackle of static fills the air, followed by that same, now familiar electronic whine. A few moments later, the display goes live. Vauclair looks haggard. His eyes are heavily bagged and bloodshot, and his hair is mussed. He holds a cigarette in an unsteady hand. Hermie, it's me. I can't sleep. I don't know where you are. Out having fun, no doubt. Maybe flirting with one of those unattainable beauties that you're always chasing. Tries on a smile, but it quickly disappears. Takes a drag on a cigarette. That's good. I want you to live a pleasant, normal life. After all, one of us should. Vauclair rubs his eyes. I can still smell the smoke, Hermie. It's almost a year later, and I can still taste the stench of burning corpses. When I sleep, I can hear the sirens and the screams. There is no sound in this world as horrible as a burn victim's screams. The doctors would call this PTSD, I'm sure. They'd have me in therapy, maybe dose me up on SSRIs, like they do to our veteran soldiers. Chuckles and takes another drag. Quite a story for the tabloids. The great dragon slayer, Adrian Vauclair, mentally incapable of wrestling with his own demons. He shakes his head. No therapy for me, and certainly no medication. I have a reputation to live up to. However poorly deserved it is, and however little I want it. He pauses, stubs at his cigarette. The dragon is still alive, Hermie. Of that I am certain. One day I will find her, and then perhaps I'll be able to sleep through the night. Neat. Third DVD, what do you got? Grinwinters. Oh yeah, I was thinking about Adrian today. Not as he was when he disappeared. Not as a fabled dragon slayer or the big-time CEO of Dial Defense. I was thinking about when we were kids. Well, I was always more of a kid than he was, of course. He was 15 years older than me. In a way, he was more like a parent than a brother. Winters pauses. His gaze drops to an invisible point on the table in front of him. So I was thinking about this time when we were on holiday. Our parents took us out to the island of Pole to enjoy the beach. I must have been about 5 years old. Adrian was 20. It'd be his last family vacation with us. A year later, he'd begin his meteoric rise to fame and fortune. But on this trip, he was my brother. And when I fell out of that little paddle boat that our parents rented and started sinking fast into the Baltic, he was the one who dove in to rescue me. You saved my life that day, Adrian. I'll love you forever for that. And I will find you. I owe you that much. Found an old news article that mentions Adrian from way back in 2036. It was printed in a financial magazine called Das Finanzwesen, one of those chic print-based mags that they produced for the retro crowd. There aren't any clues in here, but it's good to see someone else acknowledge his existence. Clicks an off-screen button and the image of Winters disappears, replaced by a digital scan. SK stock suffers a post-buyout brain drain. In the aftermath of the Dragon Lofear's hostile take... Oh, SK, that's that, one that, Shadowlands person was talking about. In the aftermath of the Dragon Lofear's hostile takeover of Satyr Krupp... Jesus. Sherwin Dustry Gestelkraft SKI. Continuing brain drain of high-level executives is causing ongoing worry among company shareholders. Company's stock took a major hit when Lofear deposed former CEO Wilhelmina Graf Benoit last August. 3 months later, long-held power positions within the SKI empire continued empty as the dragon consolidates his power base. Most recent casualties of Lofear's takeover include Alexandra Kobayashi, former COO of Satyr Munitions, Matthias Stoner, former treasurer of Rue Datafax, and Werner Harding, former CEO of Dial Defense. That was Harding stepped into the role to replace Dr. Adrian Vauclair, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's what they have to say about Adrian, a mere 2 years after his disappearance. My brother, the footnote. Corrupted, Kate, track 4. Corrupted, Kate, track 5. Dr. Vauclair, it is my sad duty to inform you that by unanimous vote of the Aufsichtsrat, your position as CEO of Dial Defense will be terminated at the end of this calendar month. Your continued misallocation of company funds to pursue personal agendas cannot and will not be tolerated any longer. The supervisory board is not unsympathetic to your mental state. The trauma that you endured during your pursuit of the dragon Fierschwingi must have been enormous. But your continuing obsession with the dragon, the dead dragon I might add, has proven a negative influence on this company and an unjustified drain on company resources. The board wishes you all the best in your future endeavors. We prepared a generous severance package to assist you in this time of transition. If there's anything more that we can do to help you, please don't hesitate to ask. Cool. Well, I think that's been enough yapping out of my face for today. Next episode, we'll probably have a lot more action. For now, though, thank you to everyone for joining me. I hope you had fun. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you all next time for some more Shadowrun Dragonfall. Bye-bye.